Karolian pie. It's a salty dessert that Finnish people eat most of the time with the coffee or as a snack. The recipe of this pie has passed generation to generation, and most of the Finnish people like it because it is part of their culture and reminds them of their family traditions, but this pie doesn't have a lot of flavor or taste, unless if it is cold. Besides that, the recipe we made overcame my expectations. The dough was crunchy and the filling was soft enough to make a good combination. It was fun and enriching to make typical food from Finland.
The cinnamon roll are a very famous sweet or snack all over the world, but here in Finland are made in a different way. For the making, we used cardamom, that is a very common mix of species here in the Nordic countries. For us was an experience to smell and taste something that we hadn't tried before. For the making, we mixed all the ingredients needed and we let the dough rest for 30 minutes. After this time, the yeast could act and rise the size of the dough. This happens because the microorganisms digest the free sugar and eject dioxide carbon that stays retained in the dough, making it rise. After that, we rolled the cinnamon rolls with the filling of our preference. In some of them, we put cinnamon with sugar, and in the other cinnamon, chocolate, and sugar. We cut the dough in triangles, and with one finger we pushed the middle down to make the typical Finnish form. Finally, we let them rest for 30 minutes and put them in the oven. The taste was so good and sweet. It is a recipe that I would definitely do at my hometown. To do a little self-criticism and comparing the cinnamon rolls to the ones that we have eaten all along the Erasmus time, we can say that these ones have a lack of moisture, like some type of syrup, jam or glacé. Despite that, they were good. The process of making a cheese can be made in two different ways, by enzymes or by acidification. Bread cheese is made by enzyme coagulation. The process is easy, but it has to be done with the good techniques and taking care of the temperatures, as it is a very important parameter in this case. We made 3 groups and each of us made the same cheese, but with different type of milks: skimmed milk, semi-skimmed milk, and buttermilk mixed with semi-skimmed milk. This means that every cheese that was made didn't have the same quantity of fat, protein, and carbohydrates, so the final texture is different. All of them had a different texture to every cheese we had ever tried before. It was so chewy and firm, like a gum. The one done with buttermilk was softer than the others because of the fat, and the one done with skimmed milk was the most hard and chewy. We tried them with cloudberry jam and it improved the taste. It was for sure a new experience for our palate. As we said before, is a very sensitive process. For example, we made a mistake, we mixed too much the milk while we were adding the enzymes and it jellified too fast. Also we put the enzymes little by little and not all at once. After all, the final result as good as the others. In conclusion, we can say that Finnish food is very different from the food we are used to, and it was so interesting to get in touch with it. We have to appreciate all the cultures, and the Nordic is a very special one.
Basically, it's a both and, usually.
You have to take a stick and make it as long as your own arm, and then you have to run back until the stick covers the whole height from the tree. After that you have to run to the tree and count your steps. The number of steps is the height of the tree in meters. To calculate the number of trees per hectare, you have to count all trees in a radius of 4 meters and then multiply by 200. Rivers and streams are very rarely seen in the forests of Finland. That is why most of the rivers are protected. Waters provide a good ecological biotope for living creatures in the forest. The rarity of streams is because Finland is flat and no stream can ever form. The water in Finland in streams can be drunk nowadays. Not in the 70s when the forests were sprayed with chemicals. Of course, you should not do it anyway, because you never know if there is a dead animal further up the stream. Actually, most of Finland would look like this. Namely, small trees and everything very wet. The trees cannot grow because the water table is too high and it is very difficult for the trees to absorb nutrients. Finland today looks very different from here because many swamps have been drained. However, the marshes can also be used for peat extraction, but they must first be drained as well. Here we were on an old peat extraction area. Today one measures the gas exchange with this big machine. One would like to know how much CO2 is breathed by the very lively soil. For this purpose, one has started the attempt to freshen up the soil with forest charcoal on this plot and thus to increase the pH. The wood is not the only thing that people take from the forest. Many Finns like nature and relax in the forest. You can make a campfire and grill a sausage. There are beautiful fireplaces in the Finnish forests for this purpose. Or you can go cycling or camping in the forest. There are more than 300,000 plant species in the world, 20,000 of which could be eaten. 7,000 plants have already been tasted. 120 plants are eaten on average today. With 8 plants, however, the world feeds itself the most. You definitely have to get away from that and put more diversity into your eating habits. For location reasons, not really many different crops can be grown in Finland, although the soils are partly very fertile. The long winter and short summer are difficult for non-cereal crops. This is now compounded by climate change, which makes it difficult for farmers to plan their fields. With climate change, events simply become extreme, meaning it is not only warmer, it can also be that it simply rains a lot more or stays cold longer. The farmer has exactly 3 biological problems in the field: fungi, insects, and weeds. Against fungi and insects you can spray, but in the future you have to accept this damage and improve the problem with small things. Against weeds, however, you can do a lot if you know them. With a variety in the crop rotation you can destroy autumn/spring seedlings. Like also perennial and annual weeds. It is important to know what ingredients have their own cereals. That's why you have this machine. You must first enter into the device, which grain you fill. Then fill the vessel completely and then empty it. After that, brush once and then let it calculate. Because I would like to know how much protein I feed my pigs. I also want to know how heavy my grain is and how dry it is in the silo. Of course, one has such an expensive device not alone, but several farmers together.
And now we put them there. Tasoitamme vähän. And then we crush them. We have that kind of measuring thing also that you are not crushing them, but this is we crush this. It's still there. Good. Is it enough? Still this way.
Yeah, we're standing here on the field. I think before they blow it, I think there was wheat. And the thing with blowing it is good because you put the rest of the harvest you put on the ground, so it gets safe, gets farmed, and didn't come in contact with oxygen, and then the carbon, what is in it, that the plant has needed to grow, will be under the soil. The problem is with blowing that you also put that down, but then you bring up the old stuff from last year or for 2 years, and now this get in contact with oxygen, and then the microorganism begins to eat it, and they pushed out carbon against. Then also the problem with blowing is that now we have 10 centimeters of soil get good in contact with oxygen, and the process is faster than it's there. On the other side we see seed, we still see wheat, planted wheat, I think so, and there the only thing 2 or 3 centimeters are really in contact with oxygen, and there the process where carbon gets free into the air starts. Yeah, so that means here you should seed pretty fast and then make it flat, so it's so that the process will get slowed. Yeah.